So, first thing, the plants and trees. They look really good at a distance and when you're going at speed, but if you look closer, you'll see they're actually just made of planes. So it's a pretty common technique to use for video games where you put a few planes with a texture on it to represent trees and plants, and it works really well. But Asphalt 8 has taken it to the extreme, and this tree, for example, uses just two planes. From here, it looks awesome, especially if you're going at speed. You won't even be able to tell it's a plane. But if you come around to this side, which almost nobody ever does, you'll see it looks symmetrical, and that means they actually even used the exact same texture on both planes. So this tree is extremely cheap to add in terms of graphics and CPU power. So another thing I wanted to note is how amazing the terrain looks, especially from far away where you can see all the terrain. In modern games, you almost always get to see the terrain from far away, but keep in mind Asphalt 8 was, I think it's 10 years old now, and still managed to do this. It still is pretty amazing to see everything, especially different parts of the track. If you zoom in over here, you can see that you can actually see the lower quality terrain, but from far away and at speed, you would never be able to tell. And here, I wanted to note, so if you notice over here, there's also, the artists added nets to catch falling rocks from the cliff. And this is actually something that's done in real life too. And over here, there's even some fallen rocks that have been caught in the nets. Yeah, so here, the water of this game is also incredibly nice. And you can even see it moves. So animated water plus awesome terrain and trees are two of the most important things I think that you need for a realistic landscape. And despite the seemingly low quality of individual parts, the whole thing comes together for a very nice experience. And here, there's a sign for the forest. And the interesting thing is that this forest is a real forest in Transylvania. Oh, those bushes look nice. These are fixed in place, a lot like most of the things. Harder. The thing about this is, these wicker baskets are indestructible. If you're right next to them, rocks and wicker baskets are equal. But pylons and these road signs move. So that makes sense, but wait, did that road sign collapse? Really interesting detail. Wicker basket can stop a car. If you look from here, pointing in both directions. So that makes sense. Less work for them to do, but it's a bit interesting to see. A lot of these rock formations are very dangerous. They should not have roads going in between them. These will not break if you're right next to them, but the problem is cars spawned right here. When they spawned right here, they were stuck against it, couldn't move forward, so I hit the cars and got wrecked. But since they were stationary, I died, and so did they. This is one of the most stunning maps in terms of terrain, in my opinion. There's some shafts of sunlight up there. Here as well. I really wish Gameloft would add a photo mode of some sort, but I understand why they wouldn't want to do that. Then people get to see the parts of the map that you weren't supposed to see. All the hidden details, like where the meshes aren't properly connected. Like the jump I took off the side of the cliff in the trailer. Gameloft probably doesn't want you to see that. The artists are probably not proud of that, but they were forced to do it due to technical constraints or time. There we go, an unbroken window, and now it's broken. Yeah, so here are some of the cases. That's a shield. I don't know if you saw that, but one of these suits of armor, they went flying and broke the window. That's why the opening is so big on this window right now. So another really interesting thing I noticed is this covered stuff. Why is it covered? And what is it? Over here, this looks like it could be a cross, but this I have no idea. If you can get a view sideways, this ravine, it's so interesting, but I've never seen a shot from there. Gameloft doesn't want you looking there, which is sad because that looks really nice. And here's the garden. This is the statue I mentioned. Apparently, this ancient copper statue. Okay, I can dismiss the Asphalt 8 plaque. They might have put that on there after they bought the property. But why is there Asphalt 8 extremely old and oxidized on the flag? Hundreds of years ago, they put Asphalt 8 on the flag for no reason whatsoever. The annoying thing about Citadel Clash is that it doesn't go through the Citadel. That's the route to the Citadel, but it's blocked. And it's called Citadel Clash. Why would you do that? And so another thing I noticed here is that there's staircases and a fountain. That's kind of nice. The staircases were interesting because I actually never noticed that at all until I slowed down to look. You can see that they didn't just build a racetrack. They considered how this is a real place where people live. And that's a mistake that a lot of artists and game developers make. They don't consider what makes it a real place. But Asphalt 8 artists did that really well here. And even the puddle is moving. Moving lake surface is a pretty nice detail, but moving puddles is amazing. This should be facing in both directions. So you see the black lines slant down to the right? The side they go down towards means it's safe to go in that direction. Now, it's possible that the road on the left is only one way, but then you see these are yellow marks. So you should be able to go left. This is an actual fork where you should be able to go left, but they marked it wrong with this sign. There are so many other cars in the game that are just they exist, but nobody knows about them. I'm pretty sure they worked off of references. So like they might not be entirely a single car, but they might have parts from different cars which the artists referenced while creating them. So I'd be interested to see if anyone in the comments can recognize which parts belong to which cars. And if you look at these wheels on this car, you'll see they're also on that car, on that red car, and this car over here. They have the same wheels. These are destructible too, I think. Yep. Cool thing here is there's a staircase to the top. Oh, it's not to the top. It's just an illuminated doorway. I never noticed that. More awesome puddles. Oh, and the pipes above. You never see those when you're racing. You're always looking at the road ahead, never up. Pipes. The pipes are back. And more doorways. Let's see if we can see inside these windows. Kind of. If you look at the particle system too, first we have these main particles exploding outwards. Then we have these other ones, these other small ones which fade to blue in a small ring, slightly slower. And then there's these orange ones that spiral around a bit randomly. So all of those together make this animation we know so well, but we barely ever see it. Yeah, and here we saw that you can fall off. That was something I was not expecting, but it's really interesting. And that lets you get really close to the edge. That looks amazing in my opinion. And if you look here, look at that. But that's part of the track. Another thing to appreciate all of the ruins. When we were over there, we were able to see all the way over here, and that tunnel, they got the sign right in both directions, so that's perfect. The lift, you barely ever notice that. More nice terrain here, of course. If you look over here, you get to see over the edge, between the gaps especially. You can see really nicely, and if you jump the barrier, you get to see even further, which is pretty cool. Another detail, I personally found it really interesting that there's stairs over here. They have a tree planted on the concrete. And just looking here again, don't know how often people notice, but there are train tracks here. And you can sort of see down. Jumps are especially a good way to get a nice view. I don't know if you saw that, but the the tunnel ends. There is no tunnel. Over here there's a road, which is interesting because from that road you're actually able to see off the edge of the map. And if you look along the side here as well, there's another road completely inaccessible to the player. Let us know in the comments if you've ever seen that road on the side before. And here there's actually a little dock for boats. And see, there's a complete dock over here. And there's some boats there. There's You actually get to experience that this is a world made for people, not just for cars. It's not just a racetrack. And also note the falling leaves. Here's yet another cool view. You get to see the lake, the castle, the road leading up to it. I do think it would be very nice for Gameloft to add a photo mode, which allows us to hide the UI and pan the camera around the car. If not, even I understand their hesitancy to introduce a photo mode where we can fly around, but a mode just to be able to pan around the car and turn off the UI in front would be a very welcome feature. Now, this is a no entry sign saying you cannot go here, but this over here looks like it's a two-way road because that's a yellow lane marking. This sign and these markings, one of the two is wrong. This sign's fine though on this side. Car is trying to follow the terrain. That gives some hints about how the barrel roll system works, which so often fails us. I think the car is casting rays down from the car, the normal of the surface below, which tells the car how to react. So when the car is tilted backwards and barrel rolling, then the rays just never manage to hit the ground, so it can't see the normal. I think that's the problem. It could be fixed by adding one or two raycasts to either side, just to make sure where the ground actually is. Didn't notice this before, but there's actually a river there. Bridges going over the rivers. That's really interesting. And if you look over to the side, there's a very long twisting road. And being able to see all the way to the horizon is incredible. And actually, the twisting roads over here are shown during the intro sequence for the map. Thank you very much for watching. This video format is something I've never done before, so please let me know what I can do to improve and what you would like to see in the future. I hope you stick around to see future map analysis videos. If you enjoyed this video, please let the algorithm know.